What's up, everybody? Sasquatch Runner here. Stretch Doc back in the office on Tuesday, but let's talk about the Bootleg Boogie 100, which ended up becoming a 50 miler for me. And we'll go through what happens. I have a couple of videos that I took during the race, and I talked about kind of what was going on. So it was 8 loops. You had to do.
Bluetooth disconnected.
My Bluetooth disconnected. You had to do 8 loops. I did 4 to make the 50 miler. So I only did a couple videos, and then once it got dark, you can't see anything anyways while you're out there trying to film and not fall down. So first loop was good. Let me just cut to the chase and tell you why I dropped to the 50. I started getting some kind of like back pain, and I don't really get a lot of low back pain, ironic as a chiropractor, right? So when I started getting it, it was just kind of a little bit uncomfortable. Probably the second loop, definitely going into the third loop. And then by the third loop going into the fourth loop, it just kind of exacerbated, and it wasn't comfortable. Every time I tried to run, I just felt, it wasn't a sharp pain, it wasn't shooting pain, but it was definitely just, I don't know if it was, spasming. A couple times I tripped and kind of go flying, and you do like the Superman thing, but you don't actually hit the ground. That really jarred it, and that's kind of what I started the aggravation, I think. But after that, it just wasn't comfortable to run. Then on the fourth loop, I tried running, and it was just going way too slow, and I just couldn't get any pace going, any speed. So it took me about 5.5 hours to do the last loop, because I ended up having to walk almost all of it. And I was just moving super slow because it was uncomfortable. Anytime, again, I tried running a little bit. And that was it. So when I got back on the 5th or 4th loop, I decided that's not good. We always live to fight another day. You don't win the, you win the battle, but you win the war, but not the battle. I don't know, something like that, right? But live to fight another day for sure. And I just didn't want to make it worse. And, I go into medical brain, thinking about all the things that it could be happening. How long is it going to take to recover? What's all the ins and outs of it. So it's always best, in my opinion, to go ahead and stop. There's other races, there's other distances. You reassess, you regroup, get back on it, and then go from there. So that's why I stopped. I did set a PR though for the longest 50 miler I've ever had at 18 hours. I don't know if that's a good PR to have, but it is what it is, right? So here we are today. I feel much better. The low back pain is almost gone. I still feel it if I extend, and if I put extra extension into that low spine. So there's something that's still not 100% that's right through there. So I'll get that worked on this week. As far as my legs go, my legs actually did pretty good, considering all the training that I had put into it. I had kind of a top 10 list that I went through and decided, these are the things that I noticed and my takeaways from the actual race, and I'll go over those in a little bit. But certainly based off of how much training I got done and going into it, I feel pretty good. My calves are good, Achilles are good. I'm sore. Yeah, I'm walking around. When I first get up, I have a little bit of old man syndrome moving around, but once you start moving around, it's good, and I feel fine. Yesterday I did a light spin, 30 minutes on a recumbent bike, super easy, but just to spin the legs out, get them moving, get some blood flow going through there, and then that was it. So let's talk about all the nutrition first of all. Okay, so nutrition, I had it all pre-planned, as you saw in some of the other videos. You can link back and look at it. All of it was going pretty good, pretty fair. It did get a little bit warm for Vegas. We were hitting almost 70 degrees. It's very exposed in the desert in that section of where the race is at. There's no trees. Very exposed. So some of the nutrition in the gels didn't quite work as I wanted to. Also the sustained energy from Hammer after 2 loops, and once it got warm, my stomach just wasn't happy with that. I don't know if it's just the mixture in that. I don't know what it was, because I've used it in training. It wasn't nearly 70 degrees though. Most of my training has been in the 50s, and it was fine. But once it got warmer, I just couldn't drink it anymore. So I had to stop that. With that being said, I just relied the rest of the time on the gels. Precision gel worked the best, no matter if it was cooler or hotter. I could always get it down. It tasted fine, didn't give me a gag reflex or anything. A little bit of some of the other gels, the Huma gels started bothering me, which is kind of funny because I've used them quite a bit as well. And no particular issues with those, other than they started just getting a little sweet at some points. And I was just like, oh man, I just don't want to take strawberry because it's sweet. But I did it and I was fine and just chase it down with water. Some of the hammer gels, I did have like in the little tube that was pre-packaged from Hammer. They're super good. Again, I use them in training, but when it was hotter, I just didn't like it. And ultimately, I think that my takeaway from that was once it got hotter, my system just didn't like the sweeter stuff. And it could also been I got a little bit behind on salt and electrolytes. I was drinking pretty good on water. I was taking in my required salt, but because it was hotter, that I think changed how much salt I really needed to take. And at one point I was reaching out to Remo, God bless that guy, and I was like, hey, here's what's going on. My face is salty, my shirt is salty. You know, I've gone to the bathroom like one time 6 hours ago. It was super concentrated and super yellow. And he was like, bro, you need to get some more salt in. This is what's happening. So I doubled up on my salt intake from Precision Hydration. I did a packet and a half, which gives me about 1,500 milligrams, and in a 20-ounce bottle, and I downed it within less than an hour. Tasted pretty good, not gonna lie. So then I got to the next aid station and I did another packet and a half, and I had probably a little less than an hour back to the start finish. And by the time I got back there, I felt pretty good. I wasn't feeling bad, but I could tell I was a little bit more energetic and whatnot, and I had to go to the bathroom then. So obviously, rule there was got behind on salt when you're very salty, sweaty. I also did a deep dive and looked up some physiological stuff. Forgot all that fizz from back in the day when I first went to Cairo school. But yeah, when you're losing salt like that, and it's coming out on your face, on your clothes, you need more salt. It's not really a water issue. You got to still take water in, but the body's asking for salt. And so that was that. So once I did that, it was good. Obviously, when the sun went down, got cooler, felt great. I was going to the bathroom rest of the evening. And again, because my salt was back on. So that was pretty much it with the nutrition stuff. One caveat from the nutrition is I also was drinking these guys. You guys drink those? These are Black Rifle Company, espresso, good stuff if you've never tried it. But one of the things I think also happened because I was getting behind on salt was your hands swell. That's another issue. If you deep dive into the stuff, swelling of the hands is also an issue of salt. It can be a water balance issue as well, but generally it's a salt issue. And then I started getting some hot spots on my feet, but my feet were sweating a lot from, I was wearing a pair of midweight and Gingy trail socks. And I don't know, they just, with the shoe combination, again, I just hadn't run in 70-degree temperatures. My feet were sweating. And I changed socks, I think on the second lap, so roughly about mile 25, and put blister shield powder in, and did some stuff because I could feel it, and it was okay. So I took off, but no sooner than I finished the third loop, my feet were sweaty again, and I was getting a much more aggressive blister on the left heel. So I had to stop, do some moleskin work, just take care of that, and that whole self-crewing thing. I mean, that just cost me 20 minutes of time by the time I got both feet situated, changed out my pack, ate some food, went to the bathroom. I was like, what? Where does the time go? Like so fast. And I thought I was there like, oh, this was fast. I was only in and out in like 8-10 minutes. I'm like, 21 minutes? What have I been doing? I didn't even get to sleep. It took me 21 minutes. But anyways, that little hill Blister, I still have it. It didn't get any worse, so that was good, but I also only did one more loop after that. I still have it. It's much better. I didn't pop it, I just left it. I try to leave those things alone if I can. It's not in a good spot. It's literally like right on the middle of the heel. So all the time when I'm stepping, I can feel it, but as long as I got socks and shoes on, I don't really feel it. So I'll just let it run its course. And so that's with the blister, which I think resulted from being off on the hydration, salt, and water balance, as well as the socks. So there's definitely a combination there, I think. Obviously, we know with blisters, it's friction, it's moisture, and heat, and those, all three of those were in play, and those cause us problems. And I usually don't get blisters again, but I also hadn't run anytime in 70-degree weather. Even when I ran in, well, that's not true. When I did the Florida Keys 100, I attempted the 100, I dropped a mile 50 because I had blisters on the balls of my feet that started super early, but that was definitely, now I'm seeing an issue here now that we're talking about this, an Injinji sock issue, but I also had thick socks. I don't know why I was thinking thick socks for that race, but they just held way too much moisture, obviously in Florida Keys, and wasn't good from the get-go. So what I'm hearing is I need to get a thinner type of Injinji sock and practice with those. So super, let's move on.